You need to come now. I'm trapped in the garage. I think he is back.
My daughter had exactly 4 seconds to ask me for help. She used 3 of them to say, "Dad, the garage, please." Then I heard a man shout her name. Something heavy struck the floor and the call went dead. "Hello, my name is Daniel Mercer. I am 61 years old, and for most of my life, I believed dangerous people announced themselves with threats. I was wrong. Sometimes they welcome you into their home, pour wine into a crystal glass, and call your terrified daughter dramatic while she is trapped 30 yards away. This happened on a cold Thursday evening in Westfield, Ohio. My daughter, Lily, was 32. She had been married to Grant Calder for 6 years. To people outside the family, the Calders looked respectable. Grant ran Calder Classic Motors, a restoration shop known for turning rusted American cars into 6-figure showpieces. His father, Richard, had the confident voice of a man who expected every room to belong to him. His mother, Evelyn, hosted charity dinners and remembered exactly which fork belonged beside which plate. Grant's younger brother, Owen, handled sales and smiled in every photograph. Lily handled everything that actually kept the business alive. She managed payroll, customer records, insurance files, vendor payments, and restoration schedules. Grant called her his office girl at parties. Richard called her family whenever he needed her to work late without pay. I never liked that. But Lily was proud. She told me she was building something with her husband. I tried to respect her marriage, even when I noticed she had stopped laughing as loudly as she once did. At 6:19 that Thursday, I was washing a coffee cup when her call came in. "Lily." Her breathing was shallow. "Dade, the garage. Are you hurt?" I heard a metal door slam.
A man shouted, "Lily!"
Then came the crash. The line went silent. I called back twice. Her phone went directly to voicemail. I grabbed my coat, keys, and the old canvas document bag I kept in the hall closet. I did not know yet why I took the bag. Maybe some part of me already understood that the past had finally come to collect its debt. Grant and Lily lived on the Calder family property, a wide piece of land outside town. The main house sat near the road. Behind it, beyond a row of bare maple trees, stood the restoration shop everyone called the garage. It was really a 12,000 square foot commercial building with 4 service bays, a paint room, a locked records office, and storage space for expensive cars. I had built that place. 27 years earlier, it had been Mercer Machine and Tool. I had employed 18 people there before a nerve injury forced me to sell the business operations. I kept the land and building, hoping Lily might someday want them. Years later, when she and Grant needed a place for their restoration company, I leased it to them for $1 a year. That was my first mistake. My second was believing gratitude lasted longer than opportunity. When I reached the property at 6041, every downstairs window of the main house glowed. 4 cars sat in the driveway. Through the dining room window, I saw Richard raising a wine glass. Evelyn carried a roast toward the table. Grant sat beside his brother, as if it were an ordinary family dinner. Lily was not there. I parked behind Grant's truck so nobody could leave quickly. Then I walked to the front door and knocked once. Evelyn opened it wearing a cream sweater and a patient smile. "Daniel, we weren't expecting you. Where is Lily?" Her smile tightened. She went out to calm down. Grant appeared behind her. There was a thin red scratch along his right cheek. "She's being dramatic," he said. "We had a disagreement at the shop. Her phone died while she was talking to me." Richard called from the dining room. "Come inside, Daniel. No need to make a neighborhood spectacle." That sentence told me more than he intended. Not where is she? Not is she safe, only do not embarrass us. I stepped inside. 5 places were set at the table. 1 belonged to Lily. Her handbag rested on a chair near the stairs. Her car was outside. Her coat hung beside the door. Yet they wanted me to believe she had gone out. Where did she go without her car, coat or purse? I asked. Owen stared at his plate. Grant's jaw moved. She walked. In 30-degree weather. She wanted space. Evelyn sighed as if I were a difficult waiter. Lily has been under pressure. She found something in the company records and decided it was a catastrophe. What did she find? Nobody answered. Richard cut into the roast. Sit down. She will return when she stops performing. I looked at the four of them, comfortable beneath the chandelier, while my daughter's last frightened words repeated in my mind. The garage, please. I turned toward the back door. Grant moved into my path. The shop is locked. Then unlock it. It's my business. It is my building. For the first time that evening, his confidence slipped. Richard laid down his knife. The lease gives us exclusive commercial use. The lease also gives the owner emergency access when there is a reasonable threat to life or property. I had written that sentence myself. Grant reached for my arm. I looked down at his hand, then back at his face. He let go. I walked through the kitchen and out into the cold. Behind me, chairs scraped against hardwood. They were following. Halfway to the shop, I noticed a small rectangle shining beside the gravel path. It was Lily's phone. The screen was cracked, but it still displayed the last call. Mine. I picked it up. There was a dark smear along one corner. Under the security light, it looked like blood. Grant stopped 10 feet behind me. She threw it, he said quickly. I put the phone in my pocket. You should have thought longer before choosing that lie. Then I reached the side entrance of the garage, opened my canvas bag, and removed a key the Calder family did not know I still had. The old brass key opened the side door on the first turn. An alarm began to beep. Grant rushed past me toward the keypad, but I blocked him with my shoulder. I need the code, I said. Then let the alarm call the police. That changed his mind. He entered 6 numbers. The alarm stopped. The building smelled of oil, cold steel. 3 restored cars stood beneath white covers. A black 1969 Camaro occupied the center bay, its hood open under work lights. The main office was dark, no answer. Richard entered behind us. You have proved she isn't here. Now leave. But the shop was too quiet. The large exhaust fans were off, yet I heard a faint, uneven tapping. Tap, pause, tap, tap. It came from the rear wall. Grant heard it too. His face changed. I followed the sound past shelves of engine parts to the old tool storage room. A newer steel door had been installed there. A digital lock glowed above the handle. Open it. Grant shook his head. That room holds customer property. Tap, tap, tap. Open it now. Richard stepped between us. Daniel, control yourself. I pulled my phone from my pocket and dialed 911. Grant entered the code before the dispatcher answered. The door opened 3 inches, then struck something on the floor. I forced it wider. Lily was sitting against a cabinet with one leg stretched awkwardly in front of her. Her lower lip was split. A red mark circled her wrist. Beside her lay a fallen metal stool and a fire extinguisher she had used to strike the door. Her eyes found mine. There are moments when anger feels hot. This was not one of them. What I felt was cold, clean, and precise. I knelt beside her. Can you move your toes? She nodded. My ankle hurts. Grant took my phone. I grabbed it back and ran. Owen pushed the door shut. Behind me, Owen whispered, I didn't know she was injured. Lily flinched at his voice. I told the dispatcher our location and requested police and an ambulance. Then I used my coat to support Lily's ankle. Grant crouched nearby. Baby, this got out of control. You were screaming. We only wanted you to calm down. Lily looked at him as if she had never seen him before. You locked me in. For 10 minutes. It was almost an hour. Evelyn stood in the doorway with one hand over her mouth. Richard did not look frightened for Lily. He looked frightened of consequences. We can resolve this privately, he said. You had your private meeting, I replied. It was called dinner. The paramedics arrived first. While they examined Lily, 2 Westfield police officers separated everyone. Grant tried to describe it as a family argument. Owen claimed Lily had locked herself inside. Evelyn said she had known nothing about it. Then an officer noticed the room could only be locked from the outside. The excuses began collapsing. At the hospital, X-rays showed a severe ankle sprain but no fracture. Lily needed 3 stitches in her lip. A detective photographed the mark on her wrist and collected her broken phone. After midnight, when we were alone, Lily finally told me what had started the argument. 2 weeks earlier, a customer named Marcus Bell had called about the title for a restored Shelby Mustang. He had paid out her 214,000, but the vehicle identification number on his insurance papers did not match the number on the car. Lily checked the file and found 2 invoices for the same vehicle. One there showed the $86. She kept looking. Over 4 years, Calder Classic Motors had created duplicate records for at least 11 cars. Some documents reduced sale prices. Others changed serial numbers or listed parts that had never been installed. Payments moved through a second company called Northline Consulting. I asked. On paper, Owen. But Grant and Richard control it. Taxes? Maybe. Insurance, too. And there's more. She opened a secure storage account on her tablet. Inside were photographs of invoices, vehicle titles, bank transfers, and emails. One file was labeled Marcier Par Y. It contained a draft deed transferring my land and garage to Calder Holdings. My signature appeared at the bottom. I had never seen it before. They forged your name, Lily said. A filing was scheduled for Monday. I stared at the image. The signature looked good. Almost perfect. Then I saw the notary name. Teresa had retired 3 years earlier and moved to Arizona. How did you find this? Grant left his laptop open. I copied everything. He caught me emailing the files to myself. Is that why you called me? She nodded. I tried to get out through the side door. Owen blocked me. Grant grabbed my wrist. I hit the shelf and my phone fell. I got away long enough to call you. Why the garage? Because the proof is there. Not just copies. The original ledger is hidden under the old alignment rack. Richard keeps it off the computers. I remembered the alignment rack. I had installed it in 1998. Beneath it was a narrow service pit covered by 2 steel plates. They think nobody knows the pit exists, she said. They are wrong. Lily caught my sleeve. Dad, promise me you won't do anything reckless. I won't touch them. That isn't what I mean. I looked at my daughter's swollen ankle and stitched lip. I am going to do what I should have done years ago, I said. I am going to stop confusing silence with peace. At 800 the next morning, I called my attorney, my insurance carrier, and the county recorder. At 9:15 I filed a written fraud alert against any transfer involving the property. At 10:20, my attorney obtained an emergency order preserving the business records and preventing removal of vehicles or equipment. At 11:07 Grant sent Lily a message. Come home. We can fix this if your father stays out of it. She showed it to me. For the first time since the hospital, she smiled. He still thinks this is about you, she said. Men like Grant always mistake the person holding the flashlight for the person who found the fire. That afternoon, we learned the Calders had called an emergency staff meeting at the garage. They planned to reopen for business as if nothing had happened. So Lily and I decided to attend. At 3 o'clock, I drove Lily back to the property. Her ankle was wrapped, and she used crutches, but she insisted on walking through the front entrance. 2 sheriff's deputies met us outside. My attorney, Rachel Kim, arrived carrying a black case. Behind her came a forensic accountant and a locksmith. Grant stood inside the shop addressing 9 employees. This is a private family misunderstanding, he was saying. Operations will continue normally. Then he saw us. You cannot be here, he told Lily. She raised one crutch slightly. I work here. Richard came out of the office. He looked as though he had not slept. Daniel, whatever you think you're doing, remember that 20 families depend on this business. 9 employees work here. Lily said. The other 11 people on payroll are fake. Every head in the room turned. Richard's face hardened. You don't understand accounting. I ran your accounting. Rachel stepped forward and handed Grant a packet. It contained notice of lease termination for criminal misuse of the premises, suspension of access pending inspection, and the court order preserving records. Grant laughed, but it sounded forced. You cannot terminate us overnight. We own the company. That is true, I said. You own the name Calder Classic Motors. You own the customer list. You own 3 laptops, some hand tools, and approximately $47,000 in debt. I pointed around the building. But I own the land. I own the structure. I own the lifts, paint equipment, compressors, security systems, storage racks, and every large machine listed in Schedule B of your lease. You paid $1 a year to use them because you were married to my daughter. The employees began murmuring. Grant looked at Lily.
You told him everything.
No, she said. I told the truth. That only feels like everything when your life is built on lies. That was the one thing the Calders thought they controlled: the garage. Its address gave them credibility. Its equipment made them money. Its history persuaded customers to trust them. But they had never owned it. I had let them behave as if they did. That ended at 3012 that afternoon. The locksmith changed the exterior locks while deputies watched. The accountant imaged the office computers. Each customer vehicle was photographed and recorded. Employees received written instructions that they would be paid for the week from a reserve account Lily had protected. I did not punish the mechanics for their employer's crimes. Most of them had known nothing. Grant followed me toward the alignment rack. You are destroying your daughter's future. Lily answered before I could. You locked me in a room to protect yours. Rachel showed the deputies the court order authorizing inspection of concealed storage areas. I removed the bolts from the first steel plate beside the rack. The metal groaned as 2 mechanics helped lift it. Beneath it was the service pit. At the far end sat a waterproof storage case. Richard turned toward the rear exit. One deputy stopped him. Inside the case were 3 paper ledgers, blank title forms, 2 notary stamps, and a portable drive. There was also a folder containing information about me, copies of my driver's license, tax identification number, old signatures. The room became silent. Grant looked at his father. You said that was handled. Richard snapped. Stop talking. It was the first honest advice he had given his son all week. The deputies contacted the detective. The evidence was sealed and removed. Because the investigation involved vehicle titles and interstate sales, state authorities joined the case. The forged deed brought the county prosecutor. The financial records eventually drew federal attention as well. But the Calders did not surrender immediately. That evening, Evelyn posted a long statement online. She claimed Lily suffered from emotional instability and had attacked Grant after stealing confidential company files. She described me as a bitter father trying to seize a successful family business. Within an hour, people were sharing it. Some believed her. Lily sat at my kitchen table reading comments until her hands began to shake. They're making me sound insane. That is because the truth has documents, and people remember adjectives. She was right. So we did not argue online. Rachel released one short statement. Lily was cooperating with law enforcement, medical evidence had been documented, and no further comment would be made during an active investigation. Then Marcus Bell, the Shelby owner, spoke publicly. He confirmed the mismatched title. A second customer reported missing original engine parts. A third said his signature had appeared on financing paperwork he had never signed. The story changed in 48 hours. Grant left 23 voicemails for Lily. The first were apologetic. The next blamed Richard. Then came anger. On the final recording he said, "If you do this, there is no marriage left." Lily replayed it once. Then she handed the phone to Rachel for evidence. "He still believes the marriage is something he can threaten to take away," she said. "What do you believe?" I asked. She looked through my kitchen window toward the dark road. "I believe it ended when he heard me calling for help and locked the door anyway." 3 days later, Lily filed for divorce and requested a protection order. The Calders' attorney proposed a deal. If Lily withdrew her statement and returned all copied files, Grant would give her a quiet divorce and $25,000. Lily laughed when Rachel read the offer. "They stole millions, forged my father's signature, and locked me in a storage room. Now they want to buy my silence with less than I saved them in payroll errors last year." She wrote one sentence beneath the offer. No. But Richard still had one move left. On Sunday night, A security alert woke me at 2014 in the morning. A camera showed a hooded figure cutting through the fence behind the garage. The figure carried a red gasoline can. I did not drive to the garage. That is important. The younger version of me would have grabbed a tire iron and gone alone, but revenge made in anger often injures the wrong person. Justice needs witnesses. I called 911, gave the dispatcher the live camera location, and stayed on the line. The intruder forced open a rear utility door and stepped inside. Motion sensors activated every interior light. Cameras captured him walking toward the records office with the gasoline can. Police arrived before he opened it. The intruder was Owen. In his backpack, officers found a lighter, work gloves, and a typed note designed to look like a confession from Lily. It claimed she had fabricated the fraud allegations and burned the shop out of shame. Owen told police Richard had ordered him to destroy the remaining records. He said Grant knew about the plan, but had refused to take part. Grant later denied that. The family that had presented a united front at dinner began turning on one another before breakfast. Richard was charged in connection with the forged deed, fraudulent vehicle documents, and attempted destruction of evidence. Owen faced charges for the break-in and planned arson. Grant was charged over Lily's confinement and assault, along with financial offenses uncovered in the ledgers. Evelyn was not charged. She continued insisting she had known nothing. Maybe that was true, but I remembered her serving dinner while Lily was locked in the garage. There are kinds of ignorance a person works very hard to maintain. The criminal cases took 11 months. The divorce took 14. Grant accepted a plea agreement after his father's emails proved he had approved false invoices and title changes. He received prison time, financial penalties, and a court order prohibiting him from operating an automotive sales business for years after his release. Richard received a longer sentence. Owen received a reduced sentence because he cooperated, though the video of him carrying gasoline made sympathy difficult. Their assets were sold to repay customers' lenders. Calder Classic Motors disappeared. For a while the garage stood empty. I offered to sell it. Every room reminded Lily of what had happened, but one April morning, she asked me to meet her there. Sunlight came through the high windows. Dust floated above the silent work bays. She walked without crutches now, though cold weather still made her ankle ache. "I don't want them to keep this place," she said. "They don't own it. I mean in here." She touched her chest. "I don't want the worst hour of my life to be the only thing I remember when I see it." She showed me a business plan. Lily wanted to reopen the building as Mercer Restoration Cooperative. The mechanics would have profit sharing. Customers would have digital access to photographs of every part removed and installed. Outside accountants would review all titles and invoices. One bay would train young people from the county vocational program. "No secret ledgers," she said. "No $1 lease." I replied. She looked surprised. I handed her a new set of documents. They transferred the property into a trust with Lily as the beneficiary. The building would be hers, protected from any future spouse or business partner. I had prepared them with Rachel weeks earlier. Lily read the first page twice. "Dad, I can't accept this." "Wes, this was your life's work." "No, you are my life's work. This is a building." She began to cry. So did I. We stood in the center of that old shop and held each other, while spring rain tapped against the roof. Mercer Restoration opened 5 months later. 7 of the original 9 employees returned. Marcus Bell became the first customer. His Shelby needed months of corrective work, but Lily finished it properly. When he collected the car, she gave him a binder containing every invoice, serial number, photograph, and inspection report. He closed the binder and said, "This is how trust is supposed to look." The business grew slowly, then steadily. Lily never became the woman she had been before that Thursday night. I used to think healing meant returning to your old self. Now I understand that sometimes it means building a new self who knows where every exit is, and no longer apologizes for using one. A year after the reopening, Lily invited the employees and their families to dinner inside the main service bay. Folding tables stood where the black Camaro had once been. Children ran between the tool cabinets. Someone played music through an old speaker. The room smelled of barbecue instead of oil. At one point, Lily tapped her glass and thanked everyone for helping her begin again. Then she looked at me. "My father came when I had only 4 seconds to ask," she said. "He believed me before he understood me. That saved my life." I wanted to tell her I had nearly failed to notice what was happening for years. I had mistaken her silence for strength and my distance for respect. But that night was not about my guilt, it was about her future. So I raised my glass. "You made the call," I said. "You saved yourself." I only opened the door. After everyone left, Lily and I locked the shop together. Above the entrance hung a new sign bearing our family name. Not because a name makes people honorable, but because honorable actions can give a name meaning. The Calders once believed power meant controlling the building, the money, the story, and the person too frightened to contradict them. They were wrong. Power was my daughter whispering 3 words through a broken phone. Power was me believing her. And justice was not the night I took the garage away from them. Justice was the morning she opened it again, and nobody on earth had the key to lock her inside.